Hello Turks and Caicos, and welcome to another very exciting episode of Disaster 365 radio show, aired on Radio Turks and Caicos 89.1 FM. I am your host, Alison Gordon, Director of the Department of Disaster Management and Emergencies, and with me in studio, again, for the third time, is Mrs. Candy Ann Williams. She is the Director at the Turks and Caicos Islands Red Cross. Welcome again, Mrs. Williams.
Thank you.
Good to have you, good to have you. Our final episode with you, we want to zero in on the matter of training. So in our previous episodes, we would have highlighted, training that the Red Cross has undertaken or training courses that you offer. This episode, we really want to dig a little deeper and have a greater understanding of training. And so my first question to you is, what types of training does the Turks and Caicos Islands Red Cross offer?
So first up, I'd say first aid. We are most known for our first aid training. The Red Cross in general, we've been doing first aid for over 150 years because it's all about protecting and saving lives. People might say, why first aid and what is first aid? So we have first aid, we do CPR, which is resuscitating the heart, and then we also train people on the AED, which is the automatic external defibrillator machine. You would see it on television, so to speak, to shock the heart, as they would say in normal parlance. But it's really, a lot of people have these machines now, you need to know how to use it. If you're able to intervene and use that correctly, then you're able to get the heart started again, get the circulation flowing so that you can save a life. You may find them in a number of areas. If you don't know what it is, you don't know how to use it, then you can't save a life. So we also do psychosocial support training. Mm-hmm. That is about your self-care, but also about being able to care for other persons. And then we have another training which we do, which is Stewards of Children, is the Darkness to Light Stewards of Children training. Children are among the most vulnerable in our communities. They're very susceptible to abuse. This training teaches us as adults to be more aware of how you can help to prevent that sort of thing, what you can look for, what you can implement, what signs you can do, and most importantly, who you report to, and that you're responsible to report to help protect our children.
All right, thank you so much. I want to take a step back. What's first aid?
So first aid is that, just as it said, the first aid that you can give to somebody in a crisis. Mm-hmm. Generally, when an emergency happens, you're not in the hospital or you're not near to someone who is a medical practitioner. You can be at home, you can be a baby, you can be at work, you can be at school, and somebody drops and you don't know what to do. You can be driving, there's an accident. So you are the person there, that's that link between when that happens and when the ambulance comes, so to speak. So it's important to have at least someone in the area that knows it. And the more we're able to train persons, the more persons know what to do, the more we're able to save lives. So the components of the first aid, if it's bleeding, you know how to compress, how to bandage, how to help to save blood, because people bleed out and die. And just because somebody's not there to intervene and help. If they're having a cardiac arrest, you would know how to do the CPR. Again, the compressions that you give, the depth of the compressions, the position, all of these things are important. You don't just automatically know how to do it and do it effectively. Right. So you want people to make effective interventions. We do choking. Again, you may see, somebody's choking, they're choking. If you're not able to clear the airway, that person can then collapse, go into cardiac arrest, and they can die. You're at home, you're babysitting, the baby stops breathing. You need to know what to do. You can, in fact, help that baby to start to breathe again if you know what to do, right? So.
Thank you so much, Candy Ann, for that. Very useful. You mentioned CPR. What is CPR?
So CPR means cardiopulmonary resuscitation. So if someone has stopped breathing or if their heartbeat has stopped, then you would be able, if you know what to do, to perform CPR on that person. What it does is that it helps to give them oxygen-rich blood again so that it starts flowing and the circulation starts in the body.
Okay.
If you're not able to do that, person can become what's called brain dead because there's no blood going to their brain, or the person can die, because their hearts has stopped and you're not able to restart it.
Wow.
It can happen after a drowning. We always on the beach, somebody could be drowning and they come out, and if you know what to do again, you're able to help save their lives.
All right.
I just want to emphasize though that those first couple minutes, if we're able to intervene, then you're able to prevent these sort of fatalities, and you're able to prevent somebody from going brain dead. Right. So it's so important that even if you don't know to do anything else, at least you know how to do CPR, like if you on spot when something like that happens.
Very good life-saving technique for us to learn. And so that led me now to my next question, because in our previous conversation, you mentioned how you were sharing the experience of somebody who learned CPR and they were able to use it to keep someone's airway clear. Is there any other real-life situation or experience that you would want to share with our listeners to sort of pique their interest in the importance of really having this CPR training?
Sure. Okay, so I have two that just come to mind. One of the teachers that's a volunteer, she called me recently and said that she was at school and this child collapsed. She wasn't sure what it was. She was still breathing, so she didn't have to do CPR, but she was able to put her in the recovery position, which is again another thing that you learn. And she said, and I sat with her and waited until the ambulance, but she was very confident that if something happened, she was able to assist. Again, someone was saying they were out partying very late at night, and they were just walking in the street, and someone collapsed in front of them, literally just collapsed and stopped breathing on the ground. I'm like, you're kidding? And they're like, yes. I said, so what did you do? Immediately, they started to do CPR. And they continued CPR until the ambulance arrived, which is what you to do. Like if someone else is there, then you can switch. But if no one is there, then you are to continue CPR until when the ambulance arrives. And when the ambulance driver came, he said to him, you just saved that man's life. Well, he has that on his shoulder for the rest of his life. I mean, it is a wonderful feeling. But again, you can see the joy radiating when he was telling the story. So you just have to remember when something happens, you can be that first person, that's the first link of that chain, to be the one to save somebody's life.
With that being said, Candian, because for me, every life saved is important.
Definitely.
How can my listeners sign up for such a training?
So we offer trainings very regularly. If you want to train a group of persons, you may have a group of friends, you may have your office, and you want to do your staff, then we do specific groups for them. You just give us a call, you send us an email, and we send you the information and you sign up. You can send us a message from the Facebook page. Again, my numbers are 941-8056-331-8056, or you send an email, firstaid@redcross.org.tc.
Is there a cost to it?
Yes, there is a cost. We offer certification training. A lot of companies ask for certification. It's also valuable for you to have that so you can present it if you want to help. We have different structures. We have prices for just first aid and first aid, CPR and AED combined, or you can do CPR and AED alone. You can call for further information on the cost, but we're happy to provide just information for different groups. We've done a couple community trainings. We don't go into all of the specifics, but we teach you the basics. So you have an idea. If you want to know more, then you can come and do the full certification training. So we call that community training. It's just about an hour, 2 hours just to talk about first aid, just show you some of the very basic things. But we recommend that as many persons as possible, if you want to come and be certified in training, then that's the training that we offer.
Thank you, Candian. So you mentioned this certification training. Is there a duration that the certificate is valid for, or does it expire within, a certain number of years? Could you just share that with our listeners, please?
Yes. So certification lasts for 2 years. So our instructors, as well as the persons that we certify, they need to be recertified every 2 years. If you're not actively using it and you want to just come for a refresher before that 2-year period is over, that's most advisable. Because some people, they do it once and they never have to use it again. So you can come for a refresher in between. If you refresh it before the 2-year period is over, then that's fine. Other than that, if you have allowed it to expire, then you have to do the entire course over again. And yes, 2 years, because we want to make sure that we're always on top of the latest technologies, the latest studies. Because as far as science progresses and they find out new things, then they make updates. And so these updates we need to pass on to you, which is why our instructors also need to be updated so that you can be updated as well.
Thank you so much for your response, Candian. And then my final question, how can we get the public more involved in community disaster preparedness? I mean, the whole matter of our zonal committees, it's something that, we would have been discussing, we would have been partnering. So on both ends, and I just want to say it's a partnership, and we complement each other. How can the public get more involved in community disaster preparedness?
I think the first thing is just the education and the realization that community disaster preparedness is really your preparedness, because we're part of a community. So I always look at it as, first of all, it starts with me. How best can I be prepared so that I am not too reliant, I'm more resilient myself? And then get involved in the groups in our community, when we have community meetings, when we go out and do community outreach. It's important for you to come out and help, to learn, to listen, and to be able to, because if a community is blocked off for some reason, and that's very possible, within that community you need to be able to sustain yourself until help comes. So again, I just think it's important that persons come out and learn how to be resilient, learn what they need to do, and actually go out and do it. Because it's one thing knowing what to do, and it's another thing actually doing it. So
thank you so much, Candy, and it has been very, very interesting having you on for the past 3 episodes of this Disaster 365 radio show. And the punchline for me is that the life you save could be your very own. So it's important for us to all get involved. Listeners, you've been tuned to Disaster 365 radio show, aired on Radio Turks and Caicos 89.1 FM. I'm your host, Alison Gordon, and we look forward to the next episode when we will have another very exciting and interesting conversation with our guests as we stay prepared and keep us all safe.